You might think that becoming a millionaire is only for people with high-paying, prestigious jobs. But what if I told you that wasn't true? What if I told you that someone who spent most of his life as a gas station attendant and a janitor, earning a modest salary, managed to accumulate a fortune of nearly $8 million? I'm talking about Ronald Reed, whose incredible story was highlighted in a CNBC article. According to ZipRecruiter, the average national salary for a janitor in 2025 is about $15.89 per hour, which comes out to roughly $32,000 a year. So, how did Ronald, making below the median U.S. salary, achieve such remarkable wealth? Here's the craziest part. He kept his immense fortune a complete secret until his passing in 2014. His friends and family were absolutely stunned to discover his portfolio was valued at almost $8 million. They had no idea he was wealthy. The very fact that he could accumulate that kind of wealth by being careful and investing well is truly remarkable. So, how did he do it? Well, today, I'm going to walk you through 4 crucial pillars that can help you become a millionaire, even if you're starting with a low salary. If you can implement all 4 of these into your life, I truly believe you'll achieve incredible things, including that elusive 7-figure mark. Pillar 1. Frugality, or ensuring every dollar has a place. When you have a low salary, frugality isn't just a good idea, it's essential. It's the only way you'll be able to save a percentage of your income and eventually get your money working for you. The dictionary defines frugal as being careful about spending money or using things when you do not need to. In other words, we want to make sure we're getting the most value out of every dollar, pound, or euro. Especially at the beginning of your wealth-building journey, this part is going to be the hardest. Let me give you a small personal example of being frugal. I love my morning coffee, but instead of paying full price, I always check the McDonald's app. They frequently have rotating rewards and deals, like buy 1 breakfast sandwich, get 1 free, or my personal favorite, an iced coffee for 99 cents. The normal price for that iced coffee is usually $2.55, so I'm saving $1.56 just by using the app. Now, that $1.56 isn't going to dramatically change my life, but this behavior is a small representation of my overall financial mindset. I'm always trying to get the best possible deal because every dollar matters. Another crucial point about frugality, especially with a low salary, is that when it comes to becoming a millionaire, you can still make excellent progress by focusing on how much you save rather than just how much you make. I have a friend, for example, who makes over $700,000 a year. That's a mind-blowing amount of money, but if you peek behind the curtain, he actually has less than $50,000 in his savings account, and he only saves about $20,000 per year. He's got a 30-year mortgage that's a bit out of his budget, 3 cars he's making payments on with his wife, and he spends money like water. We probably all know someone who lives a bit too lavishly. They make a lot of money, but they're saving a tiny percentage of their income. I'd argue that if you're aiming to save $20,000 a year, you could probably do the same thing with a much lower salary. Some people could even do it on a $50,000 salary. What truly matters here is having a really high effective savings rate, and you can achieve that through frugality. I want to be clear, being frugal does not mean being cheap. You don't have to be frugal forever, but to really get the ball rolling with investments, you need to think critically about all your money decisions, no matter how small they seem. Then, with your savings, you can do what Ronald Reed did, which brings us to pillar number 2. Pillar 2, invest aggressively. When I say invest aggressively, I don't mean you need to put all your money into high-risk, high-return holdings. What I mean is that you need to be contributing to your investments as early as possible and as much as possible. Let's imagine you invest $3,000 per year, which is about 10% of the average janitor's salary in the United States. If you're able to get an 8% return on your money, which is very achievable by investing in something like the S&P 500, look at the difference in your ending balance by age 65. Start at age 18, your ending balance will be $1,358,000. Start at age 25, your ending balance will be $777,169. Start at age 35, your ending balance will be around $339,849. Start at age 45 or 55, your ending balances are significantly worse, $137,000 and $43,000, respectively. This clearly illustrates that the cost of not starting earlier is enormous. Let's compare the cost of waiting just 10 years, looking at someone who starts at age 25 versus 35. If you start at 25, investing $3,000 per year, about $250 per month, your ending balance is that $777,000 number. But waiting 10 years means you'll only end up with $339,000. That's a difference of approximately $437,000 just because you started a decade later. So, as you can see, time is a huge component here. That's why as soon as you're done reading this, you should probably make sure your investments are set up. Ronald Reed, I'm sure, not only started at a young age, but he also invested aggressively, and not just until age 65. Since he passed away at 92, a lot of the gains in his $8 million portfolio were likely made from ages 65 to 92. That's another whopping 27 years of compounding that Ronald Reed was able to take advantage of. The other thing about investing aggressively is that how much you invest truly matters. In our earlier example, investing $3,000 per year could get you to $1.358 million by age 65. However, if you're able to invest, say, $5,000, $7,000, or even $8,000 a year, you're going to compound your investments at a much faster rate. This often depends on your ability to increase your income over time, which even people on a low salary can do through raises, bonuses, and as we'll discuss in pillar number 4, different types of side hustles or income sources. When it comes to being a millionaire on a low salary, you absolutely need to know where every dollar is going. But you also have to understand and actually believe in the concept of investing. So many people just don't believe it's going to work, or they don't trust that the market will continue to return the way it has, or perhaps they just don't have the risk appetite for investing in general. If that sounds like you, I encourage you to delve deeper into how investing works. The data consistently shows that if you invest your money, it will grow over time. Time is one of the most important aspects of personal finance and investing. The longer you have to invest, and the longer you are invested for, the more money you will make. That's simply the power of math and compounding. Consider this. If you're making $50,000 per year and you're able to invest $5,000, or 10% of your income, every single year into the S&P 500, after 30 years of investing in getting the average S&P 500 return, you will have a balance of $731,656. Now, if you're able to invest for just 4 more years, that investment balance then reaches $1,038,000. Notice that in the first 30 years, your balance was $731,000, but in just the 4 years after that, you made another $307,000. This is because compounding really took over and your gains started to accelerate dramatically. This also assumes you aren't earning more money throughout your life and you aren't even getting married, which would increase your overall household income if you were to add another spouse with an income. This is just the plain and simple calculation if you were to invest about $5,000 a year for a certain amount of time. Remember Ronald Reed being 92 when he amassed his $8 million portfolio? IFWE had the same circumstances, an extra 20 years of compounding. Our ending balance in the example above would then be $5.57 million. This helps illustrate how Ronald Reed probably got there, also due to how long he lived. Everyone in the media loves to talk about how rich Warren Buffett is, but what many people don't realize is how much of his wealth came in his later years. In fact, Warren Buffett made 99% of his net worth after his 60th birthday because of this simple concept. His current net worth is over $160 billion. And yes, he is a legend at investing. But everyone overlooks the fact that the primary reason he's so crazy rich is due to persistence, consistency, and also living to 95 years old. He's been investing since he was 10 years old. The way compound interest works is that all the significant gains are going to be at the very, very end. When you look at Warren Buffett, who was worth around $3 billion at the age of 60, you can see that the overwhelming majority of his wealth was created after that because he's had an extra 35 years of compounding. In the past few years alone, his net worth has gone from $19 billion to $160 billion. That means if he makes 10% on his net worth this year, he'll make $16 billion in a single year, which is 32 times his net worth back when he was 53. That's happening in a single year. That's the power of all of this, and the best part is that anybody can do this with investing at their own pace. The best way to beat most investors is to just simply stay in the game longer than anyone else can. Every successful investor knows this. So, make sure that you are investing and that you're in it for the long term. Pillar 3. Reinvest your investment income. This pillar might seem like a subset of investing aggressively, but it's important enough to stand on its own. Reinvesting your investment income is a powerful accelerator for your wealth. Recall the story of Ronald Reed. Friends said he typically bought shares of companies he was familiar with and those that paid out hefty dividends. And here's the key. When dividend checks came in the mail, he plowed the money back into more shares. Reinvesting dividends means that you automatically use the cash dividends you receive from your investments to buy more shares of the underlying asset that just paid you a dividend. The most important benefit of this is that it allows you to consistently accumulate more shares, which in turn supercharges your long-term returns due to the power of compounding. Many companies and brokerage firms offer a dividend reinvestment plan, or DRIP. With these plans, there are usually no commissions or brokerage fees for the shares you buy, and you can sometimes even get discounted prices in the form of fractional shares. This is basically how those small, consistent accumulations add up to significant wealth over time. Pillar 4. Add multiple income streams. The fourth pillar to really focus on if you have a low salary is simply to add on multiple income streams. According to Tom Corley, the author of Rich Habits, 65% of millionaires usually have 3 income streams, 45% had 4, and 29% had 5 or more. So, if we're able to create multiple sources of income, we'll have a diversified mix of how we make money. There are 5 common sources of income that most people have. Let's go through each one to see which you could potentially add to your life to make becoming a millionaire a lot easier. 1. Earned income. This is simply your primary job. You work for an employer or you work for yourself, but either way, it's the primary way you're probably going to generate income. It generally comes in a salary or hourly pay, and you'll likely keep this income source for the majority of your life. This is your foundation. 2. Investment income. This is the money you earn from holding certain assets that pay dividends, like stocks or index funds. This type of income is truly passive because as long as you're holding the asset, you will periodically get paid some amount. As we discussed, Ronald Reed's strategy heavily relied on this, buying dividend-paying stocks and reinvesting those dividends. 3. Interest income. This is the type of income you might get for keeping your money in a high-yield savings account. Right now, many accounts are paying about 3.5% to 4%. That means on $10,000 of savings, that's upwards of $400 per year just for having your cash sit within a high-yield savings account. Compare that to a traditional bank, where you might only get a 0.01% interest rate, and you can see that having some interest income in this environment is at least better than none. 4. Rental income. If you own any properties, or even a car, or anything you can rent out, this would classify as rental income. Even if you don't own a property just for the purpose of renting, you could rent out a spare room in your home or an attached dwelling unit for extra cash. This may or may not be possible on a low salary right now, but it's an important income stream for many millionaires. 5. Side hustle, second job, or side business. Most millionaires probably have a primary job, but many will also work on a side hustle that could eventually grow into a nice business on its own. An easy rule of thumb is that if you can work on a side business or side hustle that pays the equivalent of your hourly wage or more, then it's probably a good thing to pursue. All 4 of these pillars, frugality, aggressive investing, reinvesting investment income, and adding multiple income streams, are going to be pretty essential in you hitting that 7-figure mark on a lower salary. Do I think it's impossible to become a millionaire on a low salary? Absolutely not. Do I think it's going to be easy, though? I don't. I think it will take some extreme discipline, much like Ronald Reed demonstrated throughout his life. What do you think? Have you had any experience growing your wealth on a lower salary or income? Let me know.